How did Darth Vader discover that Luke was his son? One question asked by many is how Vader was able to find out who his son truly was. In The Empire Strikes Back, we saw the first time Vader and Palpatine discussed that Luke was his son, or in Palpatine's exact words, the offspring of Anakin Skywalker. But in reality, Vader actually found out way before this moment and was thankfully explained in the 2015 Star Wars Marvel Comics issues 4 through 6. And let's just say the way Vader found out might surprise you a little bit. Let's get right into it. Shortly after the events of A New Hope, Luke started to get extremely frustrated with his abilities. He began to believe that he wasn't set out to be a Jedi, and without Obi-Wan in his life anymore, he really felt like he was nothing. Because he felt so stuck, he then set off on a journey to Tatooine, where he then believed he could seek his answers. During this time, Vader was also on Tatooine. He visited Jabba the Hutt to request a bounty hunter to hunt Luke down and figure out his true identity. For now, all Vader knew was that he was the young boy that blew up the Death Star, and for some apparent reason, the Force was unusually strong with him. So in order to find him, he would hire no other than
Boba Fett.
Boba started the hunt for Luke in the place that he was from, Tatooine. He began to ask every civilian in Mos Eisley who this young pilot was, and if they wouldn't answer him, he'd kill them, gunning down each and every person in his sight when all of a sudden, somebody answered him. Choking and torturing the civilian, he finally got the answer he was looking for. "Luke Skywalker," the man said. Struggling to breathe, he tried to tell Boba that he was a moisture farmer and a bush pilot. Boba, getting all the answers he needed, blasted him right in his chest and killed him. While this is going on, the story goes back to Luke when he then arrives on Tatooine and started to explore the old house of Ben Kenobi. He had a deep sense that there was something here that could really help him on his journey in becoming a Jedi. Keep in mind, this was a few years before Luke would speak with Obi-Wan for him to go to Dagobah, so at this point, his path was still very uncertain. Luke was joined by R2 and they began to look around the house when they then found a tomb that said the words, "For Luke." Luke was wondering, what could this possibly be? But then all of a sudden, Boba. Knocking Luke to the ground, pointing the blaster right to his head, he said the word,
Skywalker.
Luke quickly picked himself back up and ignited his lightsaber. The two continued to fight, with Luke deflecting his blaster bolts and Boba even attempting to use his jetpack. The two of them tackled each other to the ground, evenly matched, going left and right, back and forth. When all of a sudden, R2 did something out of the ordinary. He noticed the tomb that Luke discovered earlier and threw it against Boba's head, knocking him right out. R2 saved the day. Luke picked himself up, grabbed the tomb, and quickly left. On his way out, he opened the tomb and saw what was inside, the journals of Ben Kenobi. Luke was starting to get the answers he was seeking after all. Meanwhile, Boba returned to Vader's Star Destroyer to tell him of his discoveries. He informed Vader that he unfortunately lost him and that the only thing he had of value was his name.
Skywalker,
he said. Vader, clenching his fists, felt anger and hatred in him. He began to have flashbacks of when Padme first told him that she was pregnant. His past life as Anakin Skywalker began to haunt him inside, and he started to remember when Sidious told him that he killed her in his anger. He began to get more and more enraged, even smashing the glass window in front of him.
"I have a son,"
he said.
"He will be mine. It will all be mine."